You walked into a room today and within 30 seconds, you already knew who was angry, who was pretending to be fine, and who was about to cause a problem. Nobody told you, you just knew. And instead of feeling impressive, it felt exhausting. Here's what nobody ever told you: that's not anxiety, that's not overthinking, that's not being too sensitive. That's a survival skill when you built as a child because you had no other choice. If you grew up with a narcissistic parent, your childhood didn't just shape you, it trained you. And somewhere inside you right now are 4 psychological traits so precisely developed that most people will go their entire lives never possessing them. But here's the brutal irony: these same traits are probably making your adult life quietly unbearable. Stay with me. By the end of this, you won't just understand yourself better, you'll see yourself differently, maybe for the first time. You didn't have a childhood, not really. While other kids were learning to trust the world, you were learning to read it. While other kids expressed their needs freely, you were swallowing yours, because you'd already figured out, at age 6 or 7, that your emotions made things worse. You became a specialist in survival, disguised as a normal kid. And the strangest part, it worked. You made it through. You're here, functioning, probably doing fine by most external measures. But fine is doing a lot of heavy lifting, isn't it? Because underneath the fine, there's a person who doesn't fully trust anyone, a person who shapeshifts in social situations without realizing it, a person who works relentlessly but can't rest without guilt, a person who feels their own emotions through thick glass, present but somehow unreachable. These aren't personality flaws, they are the psychological fingerprints of a childhood spent navigating someone else's instability, and today we're naming all 4, because the moment you can name something, you stop being controlled by it. Picture yourself at 5 years old, walking into the kitchen before school. You don't look at your parents' face right away, you listen first. The way the cabinet closes, hard or soft, the quality of the silence, the posture, shoulders tight or loose. In 3 seconds, you've run a complete threat assessment and adjusted accordingly. You didn't learn this from a book. You learned it because missing the signs had consequences: a wrong word at the wrong moment, a need expressed at exactly the wrong time. So your nervous system did what nervous systems do under chronic unpredictability. It became hypervigilant, always scanning, always one step ahead. The hidden advantage: you are extraordinarily difficult to manipulate. You've been deceived by a professional, someone with years of access to you and every emotional incentive to mislead you. So when a coworker gaslights or a partner plays games, something in you feels it before you can explain why. You see subtext. You catch what people say with their body long before their mouth catches up. In a world full of performance, that perceptiveness is rare. The cost: your brain doesn't know how to turn this off. It was built for a specific environment, one of unpredictability and danger. But now you're at a dinner party, or in a relationship with someone who genuinely loves you, and your nervous system is still running the old program. Still scanning, still waiting for the atmosphere to shift. You're so busy watching for danger that you miss the moments that are actually safe. The work isn't to eliminate this trait, it's to consciously deploy it rather than live inside it permanently. The scanner is valuable, but it should be a tool you pick up, not a condition you can't escape. Let me ask you something honestly. Who are you when nobody's watching? Not at work, not with friends, not on a first date. Who are you when there's no one to adjust for? If that question made you pause, you already understand this trait. When you were young, expressing your authentic self wasn't safe. Your excitement was too loud. Your sadness was an inconvenience. Your needs were a burden. So you learned to edit yourself before you finished a thought, to read what version of you would be acceptable, and present that version convincingly, without anyone noticing. At school, you were charming. At home, invisible by choice. With some friends, the listener. With others, the entertainer. You moved between these versions so naturally that eventually, you stopped noticing you were doing it. The hidden advantage: this makes you magnetic. You can walk into virtually any environment and find a way to connect, not because you're fake, but because you genuinely understand people. You've spent your entire life studying what makes humans feel seen and safe. Most people struggle with social adaptation. You do it without thinking. The cost: identity. When you spent this long being whatever the room requires, a quiet question begins to form: who am I actually? Many adult children of narcissistic parents describe a specific loneliness, not the loneliness of being alone, but of being surrounded by people who like you, and realizing they like a version of you that may not be fully real. Here's the truth you need to hear: The real you, unedited, unperformed, is not too much. You were told it was by someone who couldn't manage their own emotional world, let alone yours. The shape-shifting kept you safe then. But right now, what it costs you is intimacy. Real intimacy requires you to stop adapting long enough to be seen. The people worth keeping aren't looking for a performance. They're looking for you. When was the last time you rested, truly rested, without guilt running quietly in the background? Not scrolling, not relaxing, while mentally rehearsing tomorrow's tasks. Genuine stillness, where you existed without producing or proving anything. There's a reason that's hard to access. In households with narcissistic parents, love is rarely unconditional, it's transactional. You were celebrated when you performed, good grades, kept the peace, achieved something to show off, and emotionally withdrawn from when you didn't. So you internalized the equation early: value equals performance. Rest became laziness. Asking for help became weakness. The only way to stay emotionally safe was to keep producing, keep achieving, keep proving. The hidden advantage: this made you formidable. You don't quit. When crisis hits, you don't freeze, you move, solve, stabilize. Pressure that would genuinely overwhelm most people is simply Tuesday for you. In any domain requiring sustained effort under difficulty, you will outlast almost anyone in the room. The cost: you don't know how to stop. And because you can't stop, you can't fully enjoy what you've built. You hit a goal and immediately scan for the next one, because the moment you stop moving, the silence comes in. And in the silence, the old voices have space. Are you really enough? What if they finally see through you? That's not drive, that's a wound pretending to be a work ethic. Here's what I need you to genuinely consider. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity, it's the foundation of it. Your nervous system needs recovery the way your muscles do. You don't have to earn your place in your own life. The world is not going to withdraw its love the moment you take a breath, because unlike your parent, the world isn't keeping score. This one is the hardest, and for many people watching, it may be the most familiar. You were sad once and told you were being dramatic, angry and told you were disrespectful, excited, purely, genuinely excited, and told to calm down. Over and over, your emotional experience was invalidated or weaponized. Your feelings weren't information, they were problems. So you did the only rational thing a powerless child can do: you locked them away. You developed emotional compartmentalization as a survival mechanism, and it worked so well that by adulthood, you could observe your own feelings from a clinical distance without them interfering with your functioning. You became the calm one, the reliable one, the person others leaned on in a crisis. What no one could see was that you weren't steady because you were strong. You were steady because you'd learned not to feel. The hidden advantage: in acute crisis, medical emergencies, workplace breakdowns, relationship ruptures, you are the person everyone wants present. While others are paralyzed, you're already assessing and acting. That steadiness is genuinely valuable, and people trust you with their worst moments for a reason. The cost: someone hurts you, and instead of anger, you wonder if you deserved it. Someone loves you, and instead of receiving it, you wait for the condition to reveal itself. Something good happens, and instead of joy, you feel a quiet bracing, as if the goodness is a warning sign. You experience your own life at a slight remove, present but not quite inside it. And the vault, after years of accumulating unfelt things, has weight. It makes real intimacy difficult. It keeps joy slightly out of reach, because joy requires you to be present, and your nervous system learned long ago that the present moment wasn't safe to fully inhabit. Your emotions were never the problem. The people who told you they couldn't manage their own emotional world, let alone yours. Your sensitivity wasn't too much. You were a child with a completely normal emotional range, placed in an environment that couldn't hold it. That's not your diagnosis, that's your history, and history, unlike personality, can be worked with. For the mind reader, practice distinguishing hypervigilance from genuine intuition. Ask yourself, is this response coming from what's actually happening now or from what used to happen? That gap is where you reclaim presence. For the shapeshifter, identity is built through expression, not just introspection. Begin showing people what you actually think, even in small ways. You can't think your way to knowing who you are. You have to start carefully being who you are. For the always-on machine, rest has to become a practice before it becomes a feeling. Your body won't naturally want it at first. Schedule it, protect it, treat recovery with the same seriousness as a task until stillness stops feeling like threat. For the emotional vault, don't try to break it open at once. That's not healing, that's flooding. Instead, ask yourself regularly, what am I actually feeling right now? Not your analysis of the feeling, not whether it's justified, just what is present in your body in this moment. That question, asked consistently, begins to close the distance between you and your own life. You did not choose any of this. You did not choose the parent you had, or the hypervigilance it built into you, or the parts of yourself you had to bury to get through it. You did what you had to do, and it worked. You survived something genuinely hard, and you built capabilities in the process that most people will never develop. But there is a difference between the person who survived and the person who gets to live. Survival mode was the emergency protocol. It was never meant to be permanent. You're not 5 years old anymore, reading the room for danger. The threat that shaped you is not the threat you face today, which means, for the first time, you have a choice that wasn't available to you then, not to erase what happened, but to decide who you are now that you're out of it. The mind reader, the shape shifter, the always-on machine, the emotional vault, these aren't who you are. They're what you built to stay safe. And the person underneath, all that building, has been quietly waiting this whole time. It's time to let them out.